My name is Lori Blatzheim. I am a writer and a blogger. Welcome to our show, Read My Thoughts. Our program is dedicated to writers and how they write. You will meet them and then watch as I interview them. This should help us understand the what, why, when, how, and where we present our writing. Next, the writer will show us examples of work he or she has done. Following that, we may show you a short film of our writer reading for a community audience, or we may not. Let me introduce our featured writer. This person, our guest freelance writer, has written. He's a blogger and a technical writer and editor for Minneapolis, Minnesota. He is also a member of the Read My Thoughts film crew, which we're going to be talking about later. His work has been in freelance websites, technical magazines, and in poetry books. He was also a guest blogger at retireandrenew.com. In his spare time, he enjoys sports, literature, theater, and family time shared with his wife and kids. Ladies and gentlemen, introducing Brian Busch.
Hi, Lori.
Hi, Brian. It's so nice to have you here.
Thanks for having me on.
Yeah, well, I appreciate you coming because I have found with time that people kind of need to know a little bit more, I think, about writing and about writers, and so
Sure.
it's lovely to have someone who has done it.
Great.
I have some questions for you.
Sure.
And the first one is going to be, when did you decide you wanted to try writing?
Well, I've always loved books as a little boy, and I started when I was 10 years old. I decided, pardon me, since I was a baseball fan, I would follow my favorite team because they were in the World Series.
Ooh.
And I bought that 3-subject notebook that you don't see much of anymore and put together statistics in it and cut out pictures from the newspaper and put them in it. And I pretended to interview players and make a prediction of who would win each game in this 7-game World Series. And it's a lot of fun, and I got hooked on it. And then I wrote a little mystery too when I was 11 and drew some pictures in it, in that book, so to speak. And
Okay,
really
I have a few questions.
Mm-hmm.
What was your favorite team?
Oh, the Milwaukee Brewers.
The Milwaukee Brewers.
I grew up in Milwaukee. So,
Oh, okay. And
and
did you have any favorite players?
yeah, I liked Robin Yount and Paul Molitor.
Oh,
Paul
I've heard
Molitor's
of Paul.
now,
Yes,
up here.
Molitor. Okay.
So
All right.
I had the chance to meet him locally here, and that was great. He was my boyhood hero, which is great to have met him. So.
And I'm sorry. Did you say you wrote about baseball, or did you think about writing it at that time? Maybe you've already said that.
Yes, I wrote about the World Series and the Milwaukee Brewers, who were in it in 1982. So I was a little boy back then in 1982, and it's a big thrill to see your hometown team in the World Series.
It certainly is.
Yeah, and
Okay.
it was a lot of fun, and it got me hooked. And then I became a sports writer as an adult.
Oh, you did?
Yeah, and
A
I
sports
was
writer. I guess you're the first sports writer I've ever met.
Well, I was a sports writer for my college newspaper, and I
Okay.
covered my college basketball and soccer and swimming and volleyball teams, and I loved that as well. So.
I remember reading, I'm not so good at reading the sports, and this went into a newspaper, you said, or for
The college newspaper.
The college newspaper.
Yeah,
Were
in
there-
Milwaukee also.
Was it difficult? I mean, did you have to frame things in certain ways when you were writing? Like how many outs, how many hits, all of that sort of thing, or did somebody else do that part?
Well, the challenging part, I think, about framing a story is talking to a coach after a loss.
Oh yeah. That would.
You have to hold up the microphone or do shorthand and catch his words. And how do you do it if there's a loss? He's not going to want to say much. He might be down, depressed, disappointed in the loss, and you don't want your story to sound too negative either.
Oh.
So that's the challenge.
Okay.
You want to always find something positive, of course. So I think that, as far as framing a story, that is the big challenge. So,
Okay. Well, thank you.
yeah.
I really didn't, I knew nothing about that. Let's see. Technical magazines. What's happening? What did you do for technical magazines when you were writing?
I did some copy editing and some writing for Security Magazine. It's the largest circulated magazine in the physical security industry. I do that in my day job, and
Oh, okay.
I write, blogs and fiction in my fun spare time. So
Okay, let's get on to blogs because
Blogs.
you have a blog and I have a blog.
Yeah.
And in fact, you did me a favor because you wrote, you were a guest blog, or a guest writer, I guess, or guest blogger for my own blog site, and that's Retire and Renew. And so with a title like Retire and Renew, the fact is that we're talking about seniors, and you are not a senior yet. So I think you did an excellent job of finding a topic, something that seniors might be interested in reading. And I was wondering, how did you feel about doing that, about, putting together some work for someone else's blog?
I jumped at the chance.
Oh, you
I
did?
think it's a great idea.
Okay.
I happen to have volunteered with seniors, so
Oh, okay.
as you recall, when you put out your request looking for a guest blogger, you said try and make your blog on a senior's theme, a senior citizen's theme. And I thought, well, I visit seniors and I've gotten to know them, and I've been rewarded from it tremendously. So why not write about my experiences?
Well, yeah.
Experience is the best teacher, and it makes a great story. So.
Well, I think you did a really great job too, and it was fun for me to have someone else do the writing for that week. I could
Gave you a week off?
Yeah, not a week off exactly, but just to see what someone else might be able to do, a different scope.
Sure.
Okay, now I know that you have mentioned poetry, and we have a little bit of time, and I was wondering if you could share one of your poems with us.
Certainly. My life took a turn when I was a young father with my daughter. I was forced to stay at home with her because she had gotten a lot of illnesses. And when you have too many in a certain time frame, it was strep. And strep is pretty serious if it happens a lot. So she had to have surgery, and it really brought me back to what my values were. So I started being a stay-at-home dad, and I wrote a poem, submitted it, and it was published.
Oh, terrific.
So it's called Coffee Break Poetry. Take 5, take a coffee break. So.
And if you could read it.
Sure. I just went with my heart, and it's called Simple Poem to My Daughter. Natalie, this is your first poem from your dad. I put a lot of thought into it. I think you'll be glad. You just turned 4, and you are into dance, dolls, and toys. Someday, and it won't be long, you will be into makeup, dances, and boys. I hope you remember these poems for a long time to come. As you progress through life, these poems bring you to where you came from. If you take one thing from this, let it be. I love my dad and all the things he's done for me.
Oh, that's great. Very good.
And it's my first poem, so I get to keep the book. It's published in. It's not a real great financial payout, but I get to keep the book. And
you've been published.
Yes,
And
I did not.
published you too.
I did not self-publish this. I've been published. Great
That's
feeling, and
great, yeah.
I can share with my kids for a long, long time.
And think of what that will mean to them, as they
Yes.
get older. How old is she now?
12.
Oh, and she's doing well?
Doing great.
Oh, that's
Great immune
terrific.
system now after having 9 bouts of strep in 1 year.
Oh my goodness.
Builds up the immunity, and she's wonderful. Really.
That's terrific. And
great.
We have, are you a member of our film crew?
That's
and
right.
You've helped, and I was wondering if you have any thoughts, on the film crew and being able to do that for filming of different writers. Do you have any ideas?
Yes, my thoughts are, number one, thank you. You've done me a favor. All writers want exposure, and we all have probably a limited advertising budget, so why not exchange your time for time on Read My Thoughts? So it was a great chance to learn filming and also be able to show my own published works. I'm working on more fiction now. I have a website coming out soon, and I'm going to do I'm going to do a full children's book.
Oh, good.
It's going to be called "I Got a Sore from a Big Green Dinosaur."
Okay.
I got a sore from a big green dinosaur. It's a book aimed at little 4-year-old boys, 4 and 5-year-old boys.
Oh, how fun.
Getting it
That's
illustrated
great.
now, and it'll come out pretty soon. So.
Great. Well, I'd like to thank you for coming and for
Thank you.
sharing your thoughts and ideas and what you've been able to do. And I really do appreciate it, and I hope that our audience will learn more about what it is to write.
I do too.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you very much.
Thanks, Lori.
Okay. Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Read My Thoughts. We're going on to learn more about one of the other writers that are in our groups. This person was raised in upstate New York. He spent his early years with every intention of another field. After graduating from high school, he headed down south to Lycoming College in Pennsylvania as a pre-ministerial student. When the 60s hit, he became a seeker. His former heroes made way for a host of spiritual masters. The girl of his dreams gave him spiritual direction on a journey which forms the basis of his writing. Over time, he rambled from upstate New York to New Hampshire as a folk singer, graphic designer, editor, art director, copywriter, and public affairs specialist. He studied at the University of New York, at the SUNY is what we call it, in Binghamton. University of New Hampshire, Manchester Art Institute, Rivier College, and New England College. He married his dream girl, and they raised a family, lived in New Hampshire for 20 years, and now resides in Minnesota. He first published in 1973 when he wrote an article on the quaint Strawberry Bank boat shop in Portsmouth, New Hampshire. He's received Ben Franklin, MIPA, and New Generation Indie Awards for book design and 3 Connie Awards for copywriting and newsletter design. His fiction has been published in Aphelion magazine of science fiction and fantasy and the Beacon magazine. He's had he's had articles and stories in regional, national, and international publications. Speaking about his debut novel, the first of an upcoming trilogy, he says, "I love to write about Space Larrabee and his annex because he helps me understand our cycles of longing for love and meaning in life, finding them, losing them, longing for them again, and on and on."